1, a 2, a 3. 3.
Mister, how many licks does it take to get the center of a Tootsie Pop?
The world may never know. Welcome to episode 300. 300 of the longest running podcast in the history of the world. We're the very first podcast that's ever existed.
Yep.
And
Period.
Sorry, period.
Yep.
Period with a T at the end.
I like
How
it.
serious this is. Yeah, nobody else. This is brand new.
And eventually, when all of the episodes are on Spotify, we can prove it.
Some of them are going up tomorrow, so you can eat my shorts. Man. Hey, I see you change your shirt.
Yeah, once every month.
It wouldn't be very mox of you if you didn't. All you need to do is just bust yourself open a bit.
That's right. Yeah, I'm gotta start looking shaggy and looking like I'm just
It'll be
Like
good for the winter.
blogs and podcasting.
blood casting. There it is. As always, I am your host, Robert Solomon, and to my right, not your right, it'd be your left, is the one and only, the man who makes some of these other musicians' networks look really bad. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Spider. $13,000.
We could talk about that, but let's not talk about that.
Let's not talk about any of that music. And below us, as always, is Steven. Now, good evening, Smitties. Wow, old man, huh? I just, you know what angers me about this comment? And Smitties is awesome, by the way. Smitties is awesome. Intern.
Yes.
Give Smitties a shout out for me, please, and also give Lord Scruffington III a shout out too.
All right, I gotta open the stream.
Some awesome art, so you guys definitely want to stop in and see what she's cooking. And of course, Scruffy is the homie, and he's just a good dude. And of course, our good buddy James, who stops by every time to see what we're up to and the tomfoolery that we will engage in. Welcome everybody to tonight's episode of this Uncanny. They're going to be talking about some mystery schools, something that I have been kind of into for a little while with the Eleusinian mysteries and the cult of Demeter and the cult of Pythagoras. A lot of people don't really discuss these sort of things. I don't think it has anything to do with them being a mystery. I just think they have aged and they're well beyond their time. Anyways, gentlemen, do you have anything pressing that you would like to talk about? Any victories you guys have had this week? Anybody have anything awesome to share before we get started?
All right. I defeated the Tiger Vanguard and Black Myth Wukong.
Nice.
Very proud of that.
You got to celebrate your friend's wins. And I missed it. He was supposed to summon me and he tried to, but I missed it. I did have, however, catch him playing against the Sage boss. So that's going to be cool. It's going to be a good fight. Spider, how about yourself? Any victories? Any wins this week for yourself, buddy?
Honestly, haven't done too much. I did put more. If anybody's following along with the Spider Does Things channel, you may have seen that I put up a couple of videos that we did back around the time of the 100th episode. Where we did the Bourbon Smash.
Yeah, good stuff.
I don't remember who did that, but we did that, and we did the Towpath. I think it was.
They make a vodka now, so interesting.
We'll have to give that a try. So those went up, and you can also listen to more homebrew music from the past 2 decades that I've put up there if you want to listen to it there instead of other places, or instead of paying me directly for it, which you should, but you won't because that's what people do. So it's there for you to stream, and I'll get like pennies on the dollar for it. Well, that's why I don't make anything else, because you don't deserve it.
Are you pointing your finger at me personally?
No. That's just general.
The whole entire world.
But no, it's up there so that people can actually listen to it if they want. So
nice cup,
enjoy.
by the way.
Well, there you guys go. There it is. Yeah, nice Black Widow cup.
Yeah, she doesn't exactly look right. Like this one looks kind of like, Like she's not sure where she's supposed to be.
That's the AI generated one.
Yeah.
I think I can tell what they were hoping that you were going to ignore her face when looking at this part. But
This
since
isn't
this
the
is a
stream
family
for
show,
that.
I can't talk about that. So I
Well,
just
why
drink
would you
coffee out
ignore
of
the
her skull
face?
here.
This is
You're drinking, right?
Oh.
I'm gonna drink my coffee out of your
Yeah.
bottom of your skull.
Out of a plastic cup,
Stanley?
you're gonna drink hot coffee.
No, it's cold coffee.
But was it hot at one time?
No,
No.
it's iced coffee.
Yeah.
Do
He
you ice
doesn't
it
drink hot
personally?
coffee.
It was in the refrigerator. I
Did you
made
put
it. It's cold brew.
Oh,
I make cold brew. I'm
okay.
fancy. I'm
Yeah.
Gentlemen,
fancy cold brew man over here.
what do you guys know about the ancient mystery schools?
All right, I got maybe 3. I got one that was a bit interesting to me. It was called the Suki cult. And it was about this dude, July 13th, 2017. Jake Fair, age 17, went missing. His PC was wiped. Nobody had any idea where he went. All they could find was a few notes about something called LFE. Then months later, on August 12th, Jake was found in a wooded area from self-inflicted wounds. Police said no foul play, and they found out he was involved with something known as the Suki Project. The uploader received threats on a previous video on the subject, and in 2017, a anonymous began posting to 4chan claiming reality is but a simulation. They said that we are within a world of other worlds and other realities called system space, blah, blah, blah. Let's skip down a little bit. Later on, it came to be known that this was based on another story, and it was completely plagiarized. And Suki started to take advantage of the members by offering people storage space to transfer files into LFE, which was like a digital life of some sort, a different server, because he said that this server that we're in now was going to be destroyed in 150 years to make room for more. So he was basically offering people room on this new server so that when the world ended, they would have somewhere to go. And that one was pretty interesting. And then another one I found. Oh, go ahead.
Wait a minute. We gotta break
Sorry.
this down, man. But I want to get to something real quick.
Sorry.
Smitty says, "Why is cold coffee gross, but iced coffee is the best?" Here's the thing. I'm gonna tell you guys a little story. You get a little story time with the Uncanster. When I was a kid, my mom had left coffee out. She was drinking it. She was kind of done. I wanted to taste it. So I went to taste it, and it was cold, and it was black coffee.
Nope.
I did not like coffee for a very long time until I was about 17 or 18. And then it was different because then I could add creamer to it. And I'm very much a man who loves a little bit of coffee with his creamer.
Lots of creamer.
Yeah, like just
So like a shot of coffee and like the rest is
yes,
100% yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah,
I agree.
I know what that's like. I've got people around here that drink their coffee that way.
And it's got to be cold too.
No,
hot
I like
coffee.
mine either hot or cold. Either way. Either way. No, don't give me none of that black. No. Not if I'm trying a coffee at places like Old World Market or whatever, and they have the little try-its. I will try it black. I won't put anything in it because I feel like you got to get the taste of where the coffee comes from, like Hawaii or Colombia. Hey, Tennessee, Kentucky, Bigfoot. What's going on? Welcome. I beat you to it.
Yep.
Black coffee gives me acid reflux. This show's just going to be about coffee. We should just name the show about coffee. To be honest with you. Hazelnut coffee mate. Listen,
that's a mystery school all on its own.
I'm going to hit you to some game real quick, Smitties. If you go to Walmart, they have a honey vanilla cinnamon coffee creamer that Great Value makes. It's fire. It's my favorite. It's my personal favorite. Coffee cult. We should start one. We should start one.
Yeah.
I get my
one.
I get my coffee flown in from Colombia.
This is from Bones. This is from Bones Coffee Company.
I had one of Bones a long time ago.
I've heard a lot of people like them.
It's a great combo, Smitties. It's fantastic.
We're not sponsored, but if you happen to see this episode
and you want to sponsor us, please sponsor us. Because
this is probably like the 34th order I've ever had from them, so I've ordered quite a lot. And I ordered like 12 bags.
The blueberry was the best one. I would try that one again. I didn't think blueberry would be a great coffee, but blueberry is a fantastic coffee.
Nice.
So yeah, that's what I thought too. I was like, that's fantastic.
As much as I want to just start throwing out flavors, I'm going to get us back on the show.
Well, give us two
Because
flavors.
otherwise, I'm going to get
give
back
us,
on the flavors.
Give us two flavors.
Well, this is dark side chocolate truffle. Because I
Ooh.
like chocolate
I'm
truffles.
surprised you're not having a
Sounds
dark
good.
side bourbon.
Well, because I don't have any money for bourbon, so
Well, then you shouldn't have came
so
on
I
the
have
show.
coffee instead.
Shouldn't have
You
came
got
on
to
the
switch
show
your
then.
vices, as I said earlier. So you get one or the other. I got this, and then we've also got right now. We have
You love to see it, Mammoth in the chat.
we've got Megalodonut, which is a megalodon. It's a Boston cream donut.
And
So
how
I
does
like
that
Boston
taste?
cream donut. It's not exactly the same. I mean, I found with the bones, you have to. It depends on how much sugar you add, and I don't like to add a ton of sugar to my coffee, but you have to have more than you're comfortable with to bring the flavor out sometimes.
See,
But
I
it's
don't add
okay.
sugar at all. It's all creamer. That's it. I don't put any sugar in my coffee.
Well, the
Just creamer.
bones, the flavor doesn't come out unless you add the sugar.
That's why I only drink Aroma of the Andes. That's it.
Mountain
Because
coffee.
it's flown out of Colombia.
This is the part where you're standing on a mountain, like doing that pose
Yeah.
with your cup of coffee, and it's got the logo in the back and a
Yeah.
link to buy.
And if you want my honest opinion, I think they put a little bit more than coffee in that bag. We won't do that.
They have a lot of interesting exports from Colombia that we won't talk about. You know,
Oh man, I had to tip my nose. Anyways, getting this train wreck back on its tracks and moving forward. Spider, what do you have? I don't want that. Well, let's actually talk about what
yeah,
Deadpool was
let's get
talking
into
about
that
here.
because it reminds me a little bit.
Cyberpunk is what it reminded
She did,
me of.
Smitty's. She did
Kind
change
of.
it to Apple Tree Time, so she just changed the name up a bit.
But it also reminds me of a while back we talked about that it wasn't a
Cicada?
cult or a mystery thing, but
Cicada?
yeah.
That
Yeah.
cicada thing fascinated me. I was like deep diving into that thing for months and
That's
months.
one of our
and
early
months.
episodes, like our
Yeah, it
maybe our
was.
first
Yeah.
in the first 100 episodes, I think.
Yeah. One of my personal favorites, the cicada, was just it almost felt like that too, just based on the fact that they wanted you to solve all these riddles, and a lot of ancient mystery schools and a lot of cults and a lot of groups like that want you to jump through all these hoops because they need to see if
Yeah.
you're going to be the right material
Mhm.
for what it is they're looking for.
And they
Now,
need all your
Deadpool,
money.
or Steven, I need you tell us that little bit again about the missing guy, and tell us if they found him or didn't find him, or
Oh, okay. So
I always feel like he's
basically,
looking out into space, but his monitor must sit really high because he's always like,
okay. So by the time it was all over, they did eventually find him, but let me get through that part. So one of Suki's friends, Mr. Snoop Doge, claimed the entire project was false, even going so far as to give people insight into how it was all set up, and even revealed that most of the lore behind System Space, the fictional place that he was
Mhm.
talking about, was plagiarized from a novel called Rewrite, which is what I briefly mentioned a moment ago.
okay,
Now, members finally began to turn against Suki as he began to try doing some what he claimed to be damage control, going so far as to not only ban people from the servers and his, other social medias, but also doxing anyone who spoke out against him until eventually his following dwindled and the website was taken down. Many members have reportedly ended things, to put it mildly, as a result of his project, but it was difficult to actually prove the relevance because Suki had told them that if they were going to end their own things, then get rid of anything relating to System Space because he didn't want it coming back on him, which is exactly what Jake Fair did. In that little letter that they found in Jake Fair's stuff, LFE was the only way they were able to connect it back to the cult. A Canadian journalist named Chris Walker also spoke of this story back in 2018 on CBC radio. However, that episode has been removed. And to go into a few more details about the, kid, as they said before, his body was found in a wooded area with a self-inflicted wound. And they believe that he was, having some emotional distress, to put it lightly.
did the CIA, FBI, any of the three-letter agencies have any information on him, or did they try to like raid his house? Did they try to raid his computers? Was there anything of that nature involved?
So far as I saw in what I was looking at, they didn't really do a raid or anything, but they
Mhm.
did say that his computer had been completely wiped
Mm.
and there were no files on it. It was like reset to factory settings.
So
And that's
they were unable to pull anything
yeah.
off of it as a
And the
whole.
only reason they were able to find the LFE paper is because it didn't like burn properly. Like he was trying to burn it, but it didn't burn all the way, and they were able to decipher what it said.
Okay, okay. And the members, did the FBI contact any of the members or?
Not as far as I could tell.
Okay, okay. And what year was this? You said?
This was around 2017 that this.
Oh, so this is fairly
yeah.
recent.
Mm.
It's fairly recent. This kind of went under the radar then because I didn't hear anything about this. This must have been how many? Did it say how many members there were at its height?
I don't think it ever said how many were like an exact number, but it
Mhm.
did say that there were thousands of members.
Thousands,
So they were in the thousands.
like around the world.
Yeah, and one of the things he said, now that we're talking about that, I would like to
Mhm.
mention this part as well. Suki revealed that on July 1st, 2017, the initiation of transfers would be complete, and from then on, users could transfer over to LFE, the other server. Many people started to plan certain types of packs for that date, and Suki had to step in and tell people that you didn't necessarily have to end things in order to enter LFE, and you could just wait until things end naturally on the 1st of July because too many people were trying to leave their bodies, and he wanted to warn them that trying to leave your body early may even cause your soul to shatter, thus destroying your existence entirely, but this still wouldn't deter some people. And he said that if you had dementia or some other type of mental disorder or any type of brain damage, that could also lead to a soul shatter.
So
Um,
go ahead. Sorry.
the question I have, because it seems like there's a couple parts to it. It seems like this consciousness transfer is partially just a etheric kind of thing. Like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, it's just gonna happen. Your thoughts will just transfer over. But
You
did
have to
did
upload
people?
them to the server because by paying him Bitcoin. He allowed you to upload files to a server by paying him Bitcoin.
So
And
they didn't actually have they didn't go to
no,
fill
it
out a
wasn't a
profile
physical
anywhere.
thing.
They didn't have any sort of. It was completely
He
supposed to
did
be
have a
pay you and then the mental
yeah.
whatever.
I was trying to kind of glance over it without going too deep into it, but yes, he did have a website and he allowed people to register for the website. And initially it was only registrations through a 4chan posts, but eventually as it became more
Okay.
popular,
Of course.
makes sense.
Of course.
he moved everything over to the website and allowed you to register on the website directly.
Is
And it
this
said that
website still
huh?
in operation?
No, it got taken down
Okay.
One other thing
after
I
he
want to
got
point
found
out
out.
before I'm going to let everybody continue. I don't want to take over this whole area here.
Yeah.
It reminds me of a very surface kind of philosophical idea, like a game I played, and I think you tried to play it, and I don't think you were into it. It was
Here we
called
go.
Soma.
Ah,
Yeah.
I've heard
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
that one.
And I don't want to spoil too much about it, but the basic concept was that the end of the world was coming, and they'd found a technology where you could basically scan and copy the entirety of your mind and your thoughts and everything that makes you a person and put you into a digital form on a computer. And then they were going to launch the computer on a satellite out in space with all these
Yes.
digital humans to
That
live
sounds
out
very
in a
similar.
digital fantasy world forever, or until the satellite was whatever.
Yeah, that
happened
was
to it.
essentially the idea, kind of like the Matrix almost.
It's almost akin to what was that book I read that the engineer wrote from China? It was the 3-body problem. It goes
Yeah.
on later in the other books that people begin to kind of upload themselves in this. I don't know what to call it. Everybody
Server?
kind of no, it's
No?
almost like a computer program, but
Okay.
it's not. I don't know how to
VR.
when you read the books, it's
It'll
very
make sense.
engineer explained because an
Yeah.
engineer wrote it, so an engineer is the one behind it all. But yeah, it's very fascinating. But like I said, it's a lot. But it reminds me of that. It reminds me of very much trying to upload your brain to cyberspace where you can be kept forever. Basically, I think a lot of these groups that we're going to discuss tonight have a sort of death fetish in a way that
Yes.
it's to a
They're
point
death
like,
It'd be
cults.
very common.
yes, they're
really.
100% death cults. They know it's coming. They got to prepare for it. So the best way that they can prepare for a death is to upload themselves into a server and live on the web, essentially, prolonging their life infinitely. But what they fail to realize is if the servers turn off, they turn off.
Yeah.
The thing that makes it similar to what happened here about the people ending themselves prior to the transfer, quote unquote, is in the game here. And who knows, maybe this person actually
Thanks for
played the
showing
game and
up,
they based
James.
some of their stuff off of there. And because you said there's some plagiarism involved in things, and this could have been one of the ideas that they had.
Yeah.
In the
2017, I
game,
think Soma came out in 2016.
I'll have to check, but it would sound right, because what people
Yeah.
in the game, there was a group of people who they believed that since you couldn't exist as the same person in two places at once,
Matter can I
then the only way to continue on in your digital life safely
Yeah.
as you was at the moment that your transfer finished was to end yourself, so
Yeah.
that there would only be that one continuation of you rather than two divergent people.
Right.
And it
Would,
was a
like,
crazy
break
way
you
to
into
look at it.
pieces.
At the same time, though, when you did scan yourself in, that essentially meant that there was two of you. And the people who felt like, well, they can't be two, felt that one person had the soul and one person didn't, and the only way to make sure that the actual life force was in the other and not here was to do what you had to do. So interesting ideas and an interesting
So,
little correlation there.
what do you have for us, Spider?
Well, the mystery schools were actually quite a bit different from what we look at as like modern cult activity.
Right.
Cults now are less about having secret things and knowing secret things that other people don't know and preserving particular lineages and things like that other people might not be prepared to know or might not be capable of knowing. Modern cults are more like, hey, we have this belief that other people are going to think is out there or doesn't agree in, so we have to separate it from everybody else, but it's like this is absolutely the truth and there's nothing else to it.
Right.
Whereas the mystery schools were more about, it was preserving lines of thought. It was preserving philosophies that might have been different from the normal, or that might have opened you up to different ways of thinking, different spiritualities, things that the common person, quote unquote, wouldn't understand, which is why they weren't allowed in, and that's why they were secret. You could
Right.
only find them if you were interested enough to go through the various trials. A lot of that all died out with the mass conversion to Catholicism when Roman Christianity took over and eventually evolved into Roman Catholic and the Orthodox and everything. And a lot of that was stamped out and basically just destroyed. And most of the evidence we have for those, they come from pottery and they come from various inscriptions and some just the various manuscripts that we've been able to recover from that time, because a lot of that stuff was destroyed.
Well, a lot of it too was deemed heretical. You have some of the Roman emperors that came in, like Marcus Aurelius was, if I'm not mistaken, was believed to be one of the last few initiates into the Elysian Elysian mysteries, which
I
was
love
part of
his
the cult
philosophy.
of Demeter and Persephone. The idea of Persephone getting basically kidnapped by Hades as she was going around, and then her trying to come back, and everything else just seemed like it was akin to, like you said, death. And that was a lot of it too. A lot of everything that is involved here is regarded to revolve around the concept of a greater thing than we are. Dealing with Pythagoras, and here in a second I'll get into the Pythagorean cult aspect, which is fascinating to me. I share some of the views that the Pythagorean cult has. Not everything. Like, I'm not going to go and meet at Milo's house, who was a Athenian athlete. who played in the Olympics. I'm probably not going to live a communal life with a bunch of people, and I'm probably going to eat some steak and ribs and such. And they didn't really do that. So, but we'll get into that here in a bit. Spider, what do you have for us? What mystery school do you have for us?
Well, I didn't have one specifically
you don't
because I
have one
thought, well, I could talk about Mithras and I could get into some of the ones that we've talked about before, which is a
What
very
about
interesting one.
Thor?
But I'm going to choose to ignore that and not dignify
We
that.
we can
remark.
fire him if we want. to.
No,
We
I'm
can
actually
still
being
fire him.
serious. I'm being
He-
serious this time. His name is Gudni Gudnason.
You're got to be a good knight and good sod and
But because of the whole spider thing I got going on, I thought, well,
here we
has there
go.
ever been we've talked about the snake cults
Yeah,
that were
Brotherhood
very
of the
secretive
Snake.
before. So I thought,
going
well,
on,
has there ever been spider cults? And while there wasn't any express mention of one that I found, I did find something rather interesting. That could be it could be something that you could consider would have been part of a mystery school back in those times, and believe it or not, it connects with Buddhism.
Oh,
Yay! My
And
favorite.
it's part of a Vedic philosophy in India that connects with Buddhism, and it's details that the spider is depicted as hiding the ultimate reality with the veils of illusion, and that's what the web is supposed to be. The web is called Indra's net, and it's a metaphor for a Buddhist concept called interpenetration. It's not what you think. All right, let's just tamp that down right now.
I didn't say anything.
Listen, I'm always going to be 15 years old when jokes are presented.
But it
I
holds
apologize.
that all phenomena are intimately connected, which sounds a lot like string theory. Webs, strings, etc. So, and that's exactly the kind of knowledge you would find in a mystery school, something that's in spiritual philosophical terms that describes a potential natural part of life or the universe. So has there ever been a actual mystery school based around the spider or spider webs? No explicit evidence, but I don't think you can really deny that there was a lot of iconography. I can't say the word.
Iconography.
I can never say the word right twice.
Iconography. There's a couple words I'm the same way. I just stare at it and I'm like, we're not trying that word.
But that the web and various bits of imagery, I think, are probably present throughout a lot of ancient history. We have stories about Anansi. We have stories all over the place about wise spiders and trickster spiders, etc. And it would surprise me very much if there wasn't a solid core group of individuals, at least at one point, who didn't collate this into kind of a particular outlook and treat it like a mystery school. So
that's a possibility. However, unlike the snake, it just isn't as popular. Like, you don't have worldwide acknowledgement of a spider. You just don't.
It's more broad, and because spiders are less whereas snakes are more fearsome in general, because a snake, you can't just walk up and step on a snake. A snake might bite you and still kill you, or whatever. And snakes can get huge, and spiders, and people are like, oh, I'll just get a newspaper and smack them.
I mean,
in
unless
which
it's
case
a
I tell people to stop smacking me with their newspaper. But yeah, I think part of it has to do with the imagery of the animal itself. But at the same time, it could also be just a more broad concept.
Now, what I'd like to get into, we're going to get into some Pythagoras. Pythagoras is probably one of my favorite in terms of the ancient masters, like
the bane of my existence in high school.
Like Socrates. A lot of you are going to say Socrates, but I've seen Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, and it's Socrates. That's all I got to say to that. No, but Pythagoras, who is my personal favorite, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. A squared plus B squared plus C squared. All the Pythagorean theorems you could want.
Oh, he loves math so
I
much.
100% do love math.
I had a
God.
math teacher that I never got along with that was always like Pythagorean's theorem, and I'm like, I hate it.
My son is getting into math now. He's enjoying math, and he's showing me like the quadratic formula. Mind you, my child is 9 years old, and he's already into the quadratic formula. He's into polynomials. He's
Oh.
into geometry. He's into measuring areas and circles. It's got to be
Look,
100%.
Let me interrupt you for a second. Your kid
Yes,
is
sir.
already smarter than I am. I'm just gonna say that. Okay, there you go.
I mean, math is just learning a foreign language. That's really all it is, just learning a foreign language.
Learning
having-
a foreign language is easier.
So math should be easy by association. You can even learn math on Duolingo now, so there you go.
Oh no.
I
Yeah.
should be better at math than I am because I'm musical, and music and math are
Right.
interchangeable.
100%.
You can also learn
But
music
I
on
can't-
Duolingo.
I can't do anything past basic algebra. Like anything beyond that, can't understand it.
I tried to show
Dang.
him 2 + 2 is 4, and he thought it was Thomas Jefferson. I was like, all right.
I thought it was 8.
At least you thought it was a number. He thought it was a president. Wait, was Thomas Jefferson a president? I don't think so. We're all dumb over here.
He forgot to be president.
Yeah, this is the uncanny goof hour. No, but Pythagoras was born in 570 BC to Monarchus and Pythias, and an oracle told them that their child would be supremely good guesses, everyone. Wait, real quick, was Thomas Jefferson a president?
Congratulations, that's a theory.
Was Thomas Jefferson a president? He wasn't, was he? Does anybody know this?
All right, I'll look it up.
Look this
He
up.
was involved with the
Politics.
Constitution and the Bill of Rights and everything. He was involved in all that stuff. if
I don't
remember
think he was a
correctly.
president. This kind of stuff you don't want getting out, but it's already on the World Wide Web. So
Yep, nope, he was not a president.
okay,
Because the
All
reason I knew that is because I heard a song that was talking about the presidents, and it said that he got so enamored with a certain illicit substance that he forgot to be president.
okay.
I
Yep.
don't know if I
I'll
believe
just leave it
that,
at
but-
that.
Google said he was 8.
Wait, what?
What?
He was
The
8
eighth
years
president.
old when he became president.
He was 8 years old, or he was the 8th president?
Did I miss something?
Did you miss something? Was he a
The eighth
president or
president,
not?
probably.
Oh, he was president.
It was a reverse
Yeah.
joke.
No.
I'm
what's the
confused.
I'm so confused. Is this that highbrow humor that everybody talks about? Quick, somebody slap somebody in the face with a fish.
I see something that said he was one of the founding fathers. I didn't see
Yeah.
the president part.
Yeah, he was that.
He was a founding father because I think he signed the Declaration of Independence along with John Hancock, Washington, all those other guys. You know what? I don't got time for you to explain this joke that nobody
Third
understands.
Third president of the
side of the
United
thing.
States. I found it. Britannica.com claims he was the third president of the United States.
So was he or wasn't he?
I found another website that has contradictory information to the other website. That's all I know.
Somebody please tell me if Thomas Jefferson was a president, because if he was not, I'm going to be
Apple
if
is
he
typing.
was, I'm
We're
going to
gonna
be
have
real.
to just like edit all that out.
We'll edit it in post.
Oh, this is fun, isn't it?
No. Because what if this is one of those, what do they call those? Like Fruit of the Loom and
Oh,
Mandela
gosh.
effects. What if this
Yeah.
is a Mandela effect? And we've discovered it on our show.
I found contradictory information.
I don't think he was president.
Yeah, he was. He
I
was
don't-
the third. It's on
He was the
Wikipedia. You
third?
just have to put it on Wikipedia.
Mm.
But
This
just
is
base
Mandela
facts.
effect. I'm with Rob. I don't remember
From 1801 to 1809.
that. I'm with Rob. I don't remember that.
Well, yeah, you weren't alive in 1801.
I only passed high school because of Assassin's Creed.
You sure he was a president?
Yeah, that's what it says.
Hold on. He was the second vice president under John Adams. He's the third president of the United States. His vice president was Aaron Burr.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
That's what I said.
Well,
Spider is officially smarter than me now.
Well, I just
And
know where to
you.
look for information.
okay.
He's-
So yeah,
he's
now we
better
all
at
know
Google.
that we've spent this long a time figuring out that Thomas Jefferson was the third
Yes.
president. We all need to go back to school, elementary school, and go back up. All right,
My
because
school was terrible. My school.
So was
terrible.
mine.
Yeah.
Billy
So is
Madison was
mine.
based on my life.
So
I could have looked it up separately, but I don't care.
Yeah, nobody tomorrow's gonna be like, hey, you know Thomas Jefferson? I mean, we all know now,
They're,
though,
they're
right?
just gonna ask why we spent 15 minutes looking it
I'm
up.
not that patriotic that I have to know the name of every single president of the United States. I just can't.
No.
I barely want to think of the ones that we've had while I've been alive.
Same.
Most of them have been terrible.
Same. Anyway, back
Where's
on
that
track.
track
Back
go?
on track. Back on track. Back on track.
Before we
Anyway,
say something like that's going to really make somebody angry.
yeah, let's not do
Are you
that.
saying so and so
Not
is the
on stream.
bad president? I'm going
Not on
to tell
stream.
you
Not
why
on stream.
not.
Because then I'm gonna start going into, you know what I'll go into
I'm
if we
going to
do.
tell you why so.
I'm gonna tell you about them Zoroastrians, so we need to chill because I will spend the rest of our time discussing it. So do not tempt me. I'll do it.
I'll turn
Anyway.
this show right around.
Pythagoras was actually educated by pre-Socratic philosophies taught by such philosophers as, and this is going to be tough because it's all in Greek, so we're going to go through it.
Yay.
Pherecydes of Syros, Anaximander of the Seven Sages, Bias of Priene, and Thales of Miletus. It was said that he was also one of the first people to be initiated into the Orphic mysteries. Now, in his younger years, he traveled Near East, and it was reported that he went to Babylonia, Phoenicia, and Egypt. However, Babylonia and Phoenicia are disputed, while Egypt has been confirmed, and it was said that he also studied and was the only person, the only foreigner outside that was allowed to be there when they participate or when they were practicing their worships. And he was allowed to participate in their worships and their ritual sacrifices. It was also said that he learned the foundations of geometry, mathematics, and metempsychosis, which is the transmigration of death or at death of the soul of a human being into an animal or a new body of the same or different species. In Egypt, he learned these things. He also underwent initiations into the Eleusinian mysteries. He studied with Zoroastrian magi, which that would be freaking awesome, and learned moral philosophy from the Delphic priestess Themistoclea. You got a lot of these in here. Now, upon his return to Samos, he established a school titled the Semicircle. It is here that the brightest minds showed up. They showed up to learn what he knew. They showed up to learn the ways, as it were. And this is where Pythagoreanism is likely to have developed. However, he would end up leaving his school in 530 BC. Some said it was because of the tyrannical leader Polycrates. Others said it was because he just didn't like teaching. He didn't like the duties that he had there. He didn't like being a teacher. But at age 60, Pythagoras travels to the Greek colony of Croton in southern Italy. He's a very charismatic and very established public speaker and very well at orating. And so he establishes a commune. Now, for those of you that know about communes, in the 60s, they were all the rage. People basically made wild love. They frolicked. Everything was everybody's. There really wasn't any personal property. They grew vegetables. They did off the grid antics is the best way that I can describe it to people that might not know what a commune is. And so they all lived together. So obviously they all had the same kind of thoughts and process of thought. And so his commune doesn't last because obviously he starts gaining thousands upon thousands of followers. And the one people that don't like when you get too many followers, that's right, you guessed it, the government. And so the government says, oh, we got to start. We're not
We're going
doing
to start
this.
clipping that and
This
putting it in
is
the
the
show
thing
notes.
now.
Right. Is this what this is going to be? Is this
This is the
episode
thing
about
now.
Thomas Jefferson? But it was said that he gained a sort of ill reputation with politicians. And so one night, some folks on the Democratic side of things, granted, this is Greece, this is a long time ago, this is a colony, so your Democrats aren't going to be the same as the United States. Political parties differ, even with the same name, across continents. So just remember, this isn't like, oh my God, can't believe we said that on the show. Go such scrap. This is a different kind of a group. So they attack and they burn the house down of Milo, who was an Olympic athlete, one of the very early ones. So they all run. Supposedly he died in the house, or he crawled over a bunch of his followers to get out. It is also said that he sought asylum and gained asylum in Metapontum, but did not have food and water, and him and his followers died after 40 days. Still others said he committed suicide, and still others said he died because he didn't want to cross a bean field, a fava bean field to be precise, because beans were thought to be sacred. So he was running. He's like, oh no, bean field, and stopped, and they ended up catching up to him, and they killed him on sight. Nobody knows what happened to the guy. They just know that it was around this age, around that like 60s, that he had died. But the beliefs are very interesting, and they play into a lot of some of the beliefs that I hold. And I have actually a book that kind of talks about some of these beliefs, and it's called the Quadrivium. And there's a lot of Quadrivium and Pythagorean things floating around in that book. If you guys get a chance, I bought it some years ago at what would be Borders, but now is BAM. And I think I paid like $20 for it. Well worth it. Well worth it. Dangerous in the right hands. I'm not going to go on from that. But the core belief was that the universe and all things were made of numbers. Everything could be counted. And he believed that through numbers, the universe and all its secrets could be revealed. And I also believe very similar that with mathematics, you can darn near explain everything. Everything.
What are the winning lottery numbers?
That can be mathematically figured out. It's hard. I'm not saying it's easy, and you'd have to be like damn near genius level to figure that one out. It wouldn't be something my brain could fathom. No, not even Spider's brain can fathom.
It's part of statistics.
it's a very
it
statistical
takes
thing.
a long time
Yeah.
and a lot of waiting and a lot of you have to
Pay
have to
attention.
know what's been selected and what hasn't been selected to find
Yeah.
out what the odds are. And unless you're involved in the process, even then there's too much security almost to
There's
it's not
too
really
many-
worth the time and effort, honestly, to try to game the system.
There's too many
It's
unknown
possible.
variables involved if you don't work with it. Now you can count cards.
Statistics and game theory.
Blackjack,
Game
you
theory
can
is
do
the other
that.
one.
Yeah, you can do game theory. You can do game theory.
There's a whole
But like
movie about that.
blackjack, people did that, and then they got hurt because
Yep.
casinos didn't like that. They thought
I
they
saw
were
that
cheating,
movie.
but they were just counting cards. So I kind of believe this too, that through numbers, the universe and its secrets can be revealed. Because if we think about it, if you measure things like let's say you measure a planet's rotation, right? Or you measure a planet's maximum amount of sunlight that it gets per day as opposed to the darkness that it gets per day, you can come up with a hypothesis to ascertain if there is in fact life or was or had life at one time on said planet. I think that's very amazing to me. Like I'm fascinated with numbers. Numbers, Mason, what do they mean? But I think it's fascinating because some numbers are very masculine and feminine. But Pythagoras, this is where I kind of don't really rock with Mr. Pythagoras here, is he believed in only natural numbers. And since zero wasn't brought over from India yet, they didn't have any concept of zero. There was no concept because that was brought over from India. And so he only believed in natural numbers, i.e. positive numbers. He didn't believe in negative numbers. He thought they were blasphemous to have negative numbers. Now, supposedly, Hippias, who was a student of Pythagoras, discovered irrational numbers. So you can only imagine that old Pythagoras lost his mind. He was like, oh, no, we do not do that here. And it was said that he murdered
Oh, wow.
Hippias to protect his mathematical principles. Yeah, if you build something up and here comes this yahoo that's like, I got some more numbers for you, buddy. If you think he hated negative numbers, Irrational numbers probably just made him blow his top. He probably was so furious, he probably tore his robe. He probably said, "Oh, I hate it."
It reminds me of Sesame Street, to be honest. It's like that guy who's like, "Hey, buddy, you want to buy a number 5?"
See, why couldn't Tesla and Jefferson have it out like that?
Who?
Tesla and who was the other one? Franklin?
You mean Edison?
Thomas Edison? Yes.
Oh my gosh, you are never allowed to talk ever again. You are banned from talking. This is the most embarrassing show I have ever been a part of in my entire life.
This is what you get with public school.
Oh, it can't be any worse than that old show that we used to be a part of.
What about the Uncanny Barbecue?
You're right. It can't be any worse than our time on Google Hangouts. Can't be any worse than that.
I miss trying to sell tote bags. I miss when you guys would sell the tote bags.
You got to have our telethon again.
Yeah, that was fun.
We're gonna see if people will pay to kick you off the show. I almost did. See, even she knows how I am with Nikola Tesla. You almost got straight up banned. That would have been crazy. Anyways, welcome back to our episode. We have fired Deadpool for the time being. He's not allowed to be back on the show. Oh, look, I brought him back. This is your only warning. I saw the ban notification. Oh, no. I was banning one of those pay-for-view peoples in the stream because they somehow flock to me at this point. They're weirdos. I don't get it. But, yeah, so once again, the aspect that he didn't believe in these other numbers isn't something I can rock with because they have proofs for things like this. There's a whole section of mathematics dedicated to proofs. And it's a section. It's a section. My brain has trouble understanding it at times. Now, jumping back into things I do think are quite fascinating is the Pythagoreans thought that numbers had a mystical quantity. And that's kind of true in a roundabout way. Then they would attribute abstract ideas and concepts to certain numbers. For example, 1 is the divine unity intellect and the universe and everything in it. The number 3 was attributed to their god Apollo and was believed to be the sum of reality. It was the beginning, the middle, and end of all things. Other numbers were also attributed to different concepts as well. I want to touch on something here. If you look at later groups that sort of are present day to where right now, one of them that comes to mind is the Nation of Islam. The Nation of Islam is a sort of more radicalized version of Islam that was very popular in the United States for quite a while. It still is. But some of their teachings mirror very much some of the teachings that were already known by the mystery schools. Numbers having meaning. The number 7 having a supreme quality, being that was the day that God rested 6 days from that. The number 6 is supposedly dealing with protons and neutrons and electrons, which is the number of the beast. There's a whole faction of this, and I've discussed this before, but I might have to discuss this again at some point.
Well, we've got gematria, we've got numerology, and we've got a lot of it. Some of that, a lot of that actually was born out from mystery schools like the one you just mentioned. A lot of that, it came about because people took the numbers themselves as representative of various forces in the universe or representative of different things because of patterns. Jewish Kabbalah uses that a lot.
Yes.
That's where gematria comes from. So
yes.
A lot of the things we kind of take for granted about numbers and their meaning and concepts came exactly from what you just talked about.
So I also want to touch on the fact they believed in the significance of harmony, and they theorized that harmony was balance of opposites, much as we believe today, the light and the dark, the masculine and the feminine, the limited and the unlimited. But these were all dualities that were represented as odd or even numbers. Masculinity was odd, while femininity was even. And there's numbers that play into that as well that were discussed. The only number that they held true reverence over that wasn't a duality was 1. But 1 is the supreme number, the monad, if you will. The one.
Still technically a male number also because at the time, male had to be dominated over female, etc. And also because 1 can be interpreted as a phallic symbol.
Very true. much like the obelisks in Egypt
Mhm.
and the giant obelisk that is the Washington Monument.
I was about
So,
to say that.
yeah,
Mhm.
yep. They also believed and were fascinated by music. They believed in the power of music and that it could heal the soul. And Pythagoras himself discovered a way to translate music into quantifiable numerical intervals, ratios, and octaves called
Mhm.
Pythagorean tuning. They also believed in universal music called music/harmony of the spheres. They believed that the stars produced sounds and moved in proportion to one another, and theorized that this movement created a harmonic sound. Pythagoreans believed that the structure of the cosmos was fixed by musical numerical proportions of the octaves found in the diatonic musical scale. They also stated that the celestial bodies orbited the celestial fire, not the earth. So they thought that the sun was sort of a celestial fire, which a lot of sun worship did happen. That was a main, I mean, that was one of the earliest worshipings that people did was the sun. They saw this big glowing orb in the sky. So they revered it. I mean, heck, you had South American tribes that 100% were just like, if the sun went down for a bit or there was an eclipse, there was chaos.
The solar and the lunar cults were the very first examples of religious religious worship that we can trace back to pre-written times, to basically the earliest prehistory, almost as back to the Ice Age. After
The
that
ice
is when they
ice
started
baby
giving
age.
names and things to various deities and representations.
Mhm,
But
mhm.
the earliest depictions are both a sun god and a moon god, or a moon goddess, or etc., depending on your culture and outlook.
And that's 100% correct. So yeah, that is the old boy Pythagoras and his mystery school. We got about time for one more. Steven, what do you have for us, sir?
I wasn't joking earlier when I said there was a cult run by a descendant of the god Thor. That's what he claims himself to be.
Okay. Tell
And
us about
he's
it.
so he claims that he was raised with angels when he was a child, and when he got a little bit older, he went out and started his own little mystery school where he actually started a fighting club. We're not supposed to talk about Fight Club, but he started a fight club with children, and everyone was a little upset, as you might imagine, from him starting a fight club with children. So he was like, "Oh, no, no, it's fine. They don't actually make contact with each other. They stop right as they're about to make contact. So they're not actually hitting each other. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine,
Okay.
people." And then, he was just a little, out there. And then he did the whole thing like you were talking about earlier with the mystery schools, how they, have to get money from you and all that. And
Right.
then he went on and he got a bunch of people to join his cult. And then they found out that it wasn't real and it just kind of burned down like a lot of them do from there.
Oh, a lot of them pretty much
Yeah.
once the glamour wears off and they don't have any
Yeah.
substance to the cult, that's when the cult usually falls to pieces. See, a lot of the mystery schools had substance behind them. They made people want to come in. The Eleusinian mystery school had at one point thousands upon thousands upon thousands of followers, and it was ruled by two families. It got to be so big, so the government came in, took over, and ruled the mystery schools via two families. And your priests and your priestesses and your hierophants were part of one family or part of another. And then you have I didn't get into this here, but you have the Pythagorean cult that split into two different factions once Pythagoras dies. So you have all these splinter groups, and with cults, once that luster wears off, um, the followers leave in mass. Or once a tragedy happens, like the Shinrikyo, which we didn't get into tonight, once there's something done on a scale of disastrous proportions, people leave or people die, as in the case of the Jim Jones cult. But I think with the mystery schools, you have knowledge and wisdom, and people will stay if there's knowledge and wisdom provided. I've noticed that about the mystery schools and what we would deem cults. But I think when we say cults, and people try to refer to like the cult of Demeter or the cult of Pythagoras, there's a difference because see, people are treated as equals in a lot of these older mystery schools because you're all learning and on the same path. Now you get initiated deeper and deeper into the school, but for the most part, you're treated as an
More
equal.
money.
Women were treated as equals. As to where cults of this day and age, like the David Koresh, what was the name of his cult? I'm drawing a blank.
Well,
It
you
was
got
on
Heaven's Gate.
Heaven's Gate was Marshall Applewhite. The People's
got-
Temple was Jim Jones.
Yeah.
David Koresh's was something else. I forget what David Koresh's was.
He was
But
in Waco, wasn't he?
yeah, but he just had women just so he could have kids with them. Doesn't matter if they were of age, underage. As to where the old mystery schools, you did the processions, you did these rituals, you did these knowledge attainments, and you don't do that with a lot of cults that exist to this day. Now, there might be some that actually exist in that function that we don't know about. That's possible. I think Rosicrucianism might be the closest we have to a mystery school here because Rosicrucianism has been around for a very long time. And so we have that as the closest, but I don't really know of too many mystery schools. They might try to resurrect one, but it's not going to be in the same vein.
You've got the Order of the Rosy Cross, which is the Rosicrucians, of course.
Yeah.
You still have a version of the Golden Dawn, even though it's not really, it's more like it's like Freemasonry nowadays. A lot of people say, "Oh, well, Freemasonry is behind everything in the world," but most of the time, it's a bunch of old guys sitting in a social hall, right? Golden Dawn is kind of a lot like that now.
Yeah,
but you also have the Order of the Red Dragon, which is the Dragon Rouge, which is French right now. And they're lumped into the satanic cult category, mostly because they border on the darker aspects of things, but they don't have a Satan figure, so they're not really the same there. Similar with Temple of Set, they're more in that area too, but they could be considered kind of a mystery school of sorts. A lot of the differences are that the mystery schools have broadened into, again, more like clubs and groups of like-minded people, whereas on the other hand, the cults have gone after people who are forces of personality. Where
I don't want to say weak-minded either. I would say people that are they're hit with some trauma, they're hit with something that is kind of irreparable, and so they get family. They get family, and it's kind of like that.
The big thing is there's someone, usually the one person in charge, has a huge force of character.
Yeah.
They have a very either intimidating or alluring or enticing
very unique,
presence.
Loving. Yeah.
And the cult revolves around them, and if something happens to them, everything around them falls apart because there's no other structure to it. It's all about the teachings of this one person.
Have you guys ever watched the tapes of the Marshall Applewhite, the Heaven's Gate cult? Have you ever seen those?
Actually, both of you have because you played them on the show before. In the old cult episode back in the day.
I probably have. But if you watch those, they're rough because these people are like basically making their video wills, if you will. They're just saying goodbye because some kook said that they're going to be able to get on a comet and fly away. But once again, if you're that, you're that hurt and you don't have anybody, and here comes somebody with the idea of family, then there you go. Unlike the old mystery schools where it wasn't about death, it wasn't about, it was about trying to ascertain what life is as a whole. It was trying to figure out, why are we in the universe? What are we here for? What are we doing? I think a lot of the times those kind of things get a bad name for cult because maybe they had an orgy or two. Maybe they reveled in drinking or they were a bit debaucherous, but I don't at the same time connect them with cults of today because cults of today are about cults of personality. People like David Koresh, people like Jim Jones, as to where, the mystery schools are like the mystery school of Pythagoras, or the Brotherhood of Pythagoras, as it's actually called, was just that, a brotherhood. He didn't have people removing themselves off the earth because a comet was flying overhead. And oddly enough, it seems like those fathers of philosophy were smarter and more intelligent than the leaders of cult groups that we would have today. Because while they're intelligent in their own right, they have failed shortcomings that pretty much guarantee they're going to falter. The mystery schools themselves, just once it got to be to a certain point in history where you have, the advancement of technology or the advancement of the Industrial Revolution, people don't have time for that anymore. You're working all the time now. You're not, or you're tilling the fields. You don't have a lot of time for that. And I think now we don't necessarily revere those mystery schools. We'd say, oh yeah, they're all high, because a lot of them were. A lot of them had psychedelic trips because that was thought to get you closer to understanding. And I don't think that's so far from the truth. Does that mean that we're all going to start taking psychedelics and do the show next Thursday? Who knows? Maybe we will. That's none of your business until we do it. No, I just think that they give a lot of the mystery schools bad raps that I don't think they deserve. They try to lump them in with the cults we have today, but I don't think that that's acceptable. I don't think that's right. And I think that we should do more in-depth research as a whole on the mystery schools, and you would learn a lot, so much more. Anyways, that's it for me.
Can I add
today.
one bonus real quick?
Sure,
Just like
go
2
ahead.
sentences?
2 sentences.
Okay, because this one was really interesting.
That's 1 sentence.
He's trying
From
to figure out how
teaching
to
that
remove it.
children living with disabilities are being punished for their errors in a previous life to carrots being as dangerous as illicit drugs, Serge Ben Hayon's teachings may seem incredible, outlandish, and dangerous because to his followers, he is a godlike figure with healing powers while he inappropriately touches his followers and claims that he has double organisms, except not organisms.
Was this the same guy? Was this a kid?
It's called universal medicine. It's called
There was
universal
this
medicine.
kid that everybody was sitting around.
Oh, I saw that, but I didn't have time to look into
You
it.
saw that? Yeah, it was a kid.
Yeah.
Everybody was sitting around thinking he was the reincarnation of some guru that these people worshipped.
Yeah, I
It
didn't
was
really have time to
nuts.
look very far into that one, but I
One
heard
dude was
about
just
it.
stared at him, it's like stroking his
Yeah.
hand. I'm like, what are you doing? This is weird.
Yeah,
And of course, it was your atypical hippie type folks that just don't. I don't know how people fall for that kind of stuff. I mean, I get it in a way, looking for family and acceptance, but in another way, it just baffles my mind. Like, you're a human being the same as me. You have no more power than I have. You know what I mean? Like, you're a little kid. Go to bed. You're grounded. Stop bringing cult followers. It's enough. You're grounded. Anyways, gentlemen, it has been an honor and a pleasure to talk about this tonight. We did ramble off. Tramble's not even a word. Trample is a word. About coffee. But yeah. So anyways, as always, the thing we do here, why be boring when you can be uncanny? You can find each of us at our respective stream sites. Hey, Akuma just showing in late. Oh, yeah, right, Smitty's coffee. Make sure you guys check out Akuma Deadpool. Give a quick shout out to Akuma, please, if you do not mind.
got you.
Thank you, Smitty's, Apple Tree, Zara, Tennessee, Kentucky, Bigfoot, James, Mammoth,
Good
and
game.
of course, Scruffy. You guys are all awesome. I love you guys. You guys are freaking cool. We appreciate you guys coming through, hanging out with us. I will be live tomorrow, probably streaming some casting of Frank Stone. So come through and make some choices in the chat. I love doing that with the community. So I'll be playing that, I think, tomorrow night for a little bit of pre-spooky fun-offs. Of course, Spider, hope he might be streaming tonight. You streaming tonight?
Yeah, I'm going to be doing some. They just added the option in Space Marine 2 to be able to do the side operations with bots rather than go do it online, Destiny style. So everybody knows that I like to do that. Very soon, sometime in the next week or two, I'm going to start my massive marathon of every single Final Fantasy game that I own.
Oh, nice.
Which is currently 1 through 7, plus Stranger of Paradise, technically, which I could play first, but I've already.
I sure can, Smitty.
So,
I sure can. Spider, what is your DMGRGN
on Twitch, And I also upload the videos immediately afterwards,
you.
usually within a few minutes, to my YouTube channel of Spider Does Things on YouTube.
He was last seen playing Prey.
Mm.
The first one?
Not the old one, but the modern one with the Talos space station and everything.
Oh, the one that's
Not the one with the Native
Impossible.
American. I do have that one though, and I should go through that one. It's just you
That's
get
a
to
good
a
one.
point in that one, and then it gets kind of like you get bogged down in a spot that gets really boring.
Yeah.
But
I'll
get back into
probably run in that. I haven't decided yet. Friday streams are different for me because I usually do a 4 to 7, just because, having to get up early, make sure my sweet son is ready for school, take him to school. And so having to do squeal. And then I got to help him with homework and stuff, but the math he don't need help with because he's a freaking genius. But I'm looking at probably maybe 5 or 6, depending, and then I'll go from there. Oh, if you're stuck at Fall Fest, I might be streaming then. So if you want to hang out. It's up to you. So yeah, Deadpool. When are you going to be streaming Black Myth Wukong?
Maybe on Saturday or Sunday. Wait, no, tomorrow's
Tomorrow's
Saturday
Friday.
or Sunday.
Okay. Make sure you guys are following all of us on our respective platforms. I know Smitty's is following me. I'm not sure if she's following Deadpool. Deadpool, put your thing in the thing so people
That
can follow.
sounds
Don't put
so-
your thing in the thing. Don't put your what did you say? What did you say earlier?
I'm not going to do anything illegal here.
Inappropriate, sir.
Sir, you just need to put your brain in a robot tiger.
Yes.
That's what you need
That would
to
be
do.
fun.
Tiger bot Steven. So,
Tiger
but I'm
bot.
gonna have the strength of 4 gorillas. So, anyways, gentlemen, I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. As always, why be boring when you can be Uncannyopolis? We will see you, amazing people, next week for another episode. And in 2 weeks, we're gonna be downloading the GhostTube app at our respective locations, and we're going to be playing it live on the stream.
That'll be fun.
So we're going to ask it questions. We're going to see if the ghosts are with us. 2 weeks from this night. All right, guys. You guys be good. Love you guys. See you guys next week.
See ya.
Got to end the stream. Night, Smitties.